Hi everybody, TJ Mac Vintage Cards here, and today I'm profiling the 1970 Topps baseball set. I'm going to show off 30 key cards from my collection that I think represent this set very well. It's going to be mainly consisted of the Hall of Fame players and superstars from that set. And these are cards that I display in my card room during the baseball season. And before I get into what I really enjoy about this set, I'm going to go through and just talk a little bit about this issue. So 1970 Topps is a 720 card set. It was the largest produced by Topps at that time. The wax pack prices that year doubled from a nickel in 1969 to 10 cents in 1970. It was the first issue to show all of the playoff cards, was 1970. It's also the first issue since 1952 Topps to not have a Mickey Mantle card contained within the set. His Mantle's last card was in 1969 Topps. Now, what I really enjoy about this set is that it has this beautiful gray border with a white inset on it that has the picture contained inside of it. And what I really like about that is it's a nice subtle image. It doesn't take away from the pictures because the photography in this set is just beautiful. And I think the gray complements that very nicely. So it really makes the colors also on the cards pop, as you can see with that Tony Perez right there. Just that red with the red block lettering in the upper right corner depicting the team. And then you got this nice cursive that's just a nice added touch of class to the cards, and it's very easy to read. And then you have the player's position contained on there as well in the burgundy color. And then if we flip the card over, you can see on the back here, it has the yellow and blue with the white, and you got the comic in the upper right corner, the circle with the tops and the number inside, statistical information in the rectangular, and the yellow rectangle with all the numbers in blue. And then you got just the basic player information up there with the white lettering inside the blue rectangular box. So just a very nice, clean, sharp, easy on the eyes set in my opinion. And the photography is also, I think, pretty nice in this set. It gives you a lot of different pictures. Here's a nice example with this Willie Stargell right here. You don't really see a lot of images where a player's holding a bat like that up until this point. And I kind of like that. It gives you some different, they're pose shots, but they're really kind of have a natural quality to them, even though they're posed images. And then as you see right here in this Hank Aaron, it's got the dugout in the background. And you have some images in this set that have that look where you have the dugout in the background, or just batting cages and just different things like that that really just depict the life of a baseball player. And I really like this Aaron because it has a kind of an interesting look on his face. He almost looks surprised there that this photo is being taken. He's holding the ball, and then like I said, you can see the back of the dugout. And I'll touch more on the players in a second here, but just, again, very clean. You got some nice headshots here mixed in with just like your typical pitching poses, and then, as I said, some different looking poses as well. And like most Topps sets, the last two series of the 7 series tend to be the toughest, the semi-highs and the high numbers. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about some of the players now. Here we have Carl Yastrzemski here, first card that I'm profiling. He really should have been the MVP in 1970. He had a 9.5 wins above replacement, which wasn't measured back then, of course. But he did lead the league in runs with 125. He had 40 home runs that year, stole career-high 23 bases. Really just had a fantastic season. And Boog Powell won the MVP because he played for the Baltimore Orioles. They had 108 wins, and he had a nice season as well. But Yaz really by far had the highest WAR in the American League. And again, wasn't a stat back then, but it really depicts the strength of his season that year. And the Red Sox were competitive, but they didn't make the playoffs. Next to that, you have Reggie Jackson, second-year card. I really love this Harmon Killebrew card. Killebrew that year, he helped lead the Twins to the division title with a .271 batting average, and he had him here at 41 home runs, 113 RBIs. What's really nice is just this card itself. It looks like a natural shot. I believe it is posed though, and you got this nice rack of bats here. You got the pine tar, the towel over his shoulder. just an image that you don't really see very often in cards from that era, this type of spot where the photograph's taken. And the 70 set was really, I think, did a really nice job of this. And what's also really cool is you have the patches. There's a lot of patches on the sleeves of the players in this issue, which I think look great as well. And then right here you can see the MLB patch, and I'm going to show that over here. Step back here a little bit. You can see it really nicely on this 1970 Phil Niekro. And the patch started being worn in 1969. It was designed by Jerry Dior, and it was used for the 100th anniversary of baseball. And it was believed to actually be Harmon Killebrew that's on the patch. And Killebrew believes that because when he went to the Top Studios in 1968, he said they did a charcoal drawing of this similar image. They just said the bat was a little different on it, is what he said. But Jerry Dior denies that. He says that it's not Harmon Killebrew. It's an ambiguous image that depicts many different baseball players. I'll leave that for you to decide, but I think it's Killebrew. And then next to the Phil Niekro, you got this nice looking Billy Williams card. Little stadium shot in the background there. And Williams was one of those underappreciated players, I think. He was just fantastic in the early 70s. He led the league in runs that year with 135 in the National League and tied with 205 hits for first in the National League. Finished, I believe, second in the MVP voting. And you see that patch on a lot of the cards this year. Again, the first time you're ever going to see it because it appeared first in 1969 season. There's a Thurman Munson rookie. He was Rookie of the Year with a .302 batting average. And just cycling down here, you got Juan Marichal. Wonderful image of Steve Carlton. It's a very just a full body image with the striped socks and just that green grass and blue sky. Just the red sleeves there. And this is where the gray, you can just see the gray and the yellow lettering. It just really complements the photograph. These are very easy on the eyes, these cards. And I think the photography, like I said, is fantastic. Brooks Robinson hit .429 in the World Series that year and just put on a defensive display against the Reds as the Baltimore Orioles beat him in 5 games. And again, they won 108 games that year. Brooks is a little underrated as a hitter because he really played in a dominating pitching era for much of his prime. There's Jenkins, and you can see again the nice patch of the MLB on his arm. And Willie McCovey. Of course, the great Rod Carew. And we cycle down here to Tom Seaver. This year, the Mets only won 83 games. They couldn't get that lightning in the bottle they had in '69, but Seaver had another fantastic year. He struck out 19 Padres, 1 game, including 10 in a row. Of course, one of the best pitchers of the 1970s. Here's another image that I was talking about, the different looks of these images. You got the net there from the batting cages, and then you have Lou Brock with the bat behind him. And just a little more than that half-body shot, which they did a lot of in 1970, which I like. And of course, the Roberto Clemente, just another fantastic card from that issue. With the stadium stands there. Half swing there in the image. Classic Pirates uniform. Pirates won the division that year, but they were swept by the Reds in the playoffs. And you can look at the blue eyes here on this Jim Palmer. Palmer that year won 20 games. He had a 2.71 ERA, 199 strikeouts, led the American League with 305 innings pitched. There again is Pops. These cards are all PSA 6.7s. When I did this this endeavor of building 30 key cards from 1956 to 1989, this is one of the early ones I did. So a lot of these cards are probably been slabbed for about 15 plus years. There's the Hank Aaron, 3,000 hits that year for Hank. And Bob Gibson won his second Cy Young in 1970 with 23 wins, 3.12 ERA. Look at this wonderful Astros jersey. Joe Morgan before he had his great success with the Reds. There you can see the Astros patch, classic hat, the shooting star on the top of the name there. Here's Gaylord Perry. Kind of similar images next to each other depicting 2 of the greats from the National and American League. Now you're getting into these semi-high numbers, which are a little tougher with the Pete Rose. I talked about this image. Hey, whoever doesn't like headshots, you really got to study them sometimes, and you can just really see the beauty in some of them, like this rose here. I talked about this when I did my rose profile. And this is the year he barreled into Ray Fosse. And just look at the intensity on his face. Wonderful image. And down here, the last row, finishing up with those semi-highs and getting into the high numbers. You got Willie Mays, had 3,000 hits that year, like I said, with Aaron. And then the sunset of his career is Ernie Banks. And just another kind of unique photograph of Al Kaline here with his bat under his arm. Of course, Johnny Bench, 45 home runs, 148 RBIs, won his first MVP that year. I believe it was his third Gold Glove as well that season. Frank, he doesn't always smile on his cards, but he's got a nice little half smile there at least. And he had a lot to smile about again because the Orioles won the World Series that year. And then you have Nolan Ryan. I think one of the best cards of certainly of the 70s, if not one of the best that Topps issued. Just this gray goes so well with this blue. And you got that Mets patch there, and just, you know, with his glove out there. Nice image of a young Nolan Ryan. So I really appreciate everybody's time, and I hope you enjoyed this profile of the 1970 Topps set. And if you're not too fond of this set, hopefully you got a little better of appreciation for it, because I do think the photography here is stellar. And those gray borders, you know, it's a pretty bold by Topps to do that. I never saw gray borders on cards before then, so I think it was a really good move on their part, and it really captured the color and photography that was very strong in this issue. So everybody have a great night, and I'll be doing probably one more video this weekend of my vintage hockey cards. So everybody have a great night again. Take care.